16. Keep me safe, my God, for in you I take refuge. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. I say of the holy people who are in the land, they are the noble ones, in whom is all my delight. Those who run after other gods will suffer more and more. I will not pour out libations of blood to such gods, or take up their names on my lips. Lord, you alone are my portion and my cup. You make my lot secure. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. I will praise the Lord who counsels me. Even at night my heart instructs me. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest secure, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead, nor will you let your faithful ones see decay. You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world.
Ask you, what do you and I really need? Really need. In 1967, quite a few of us, most of us, were alive during that time. John Lennon and the Beatles said that all that you need is love. Oh yeah, love is all you need. But here in Psalm 16, we find King David's simple confession. He says that all that he really needs is God. You are my God, David says. Apart from you, I have no good thing. And as Christians we can say, yes, we know that God is everything we need. But somehow the details of every life so often still gets in the way, doesn't it? David says that anyone who places their desires on anything other than God will only increase in sorrow. That's pretty much what verse 4 says. And he says that is why he desires only God. You know, the NIV translates verse 5 in a funny way. The NIV translation, verse 5 reads, Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. You have made my lot secure. But a direct translation of the Hebrew would be, listen carefully, The Lord is my portion, which is my share and my cup. Radically different, isn't it? In the Hebrew, verse 5 actually affirms verse 2, doesn't it? And if God is my share and my cup, then indeed I have nothing good apart from Him, isn't it? Everything that is good that God is God. But there is more here in Psalm 16 that David shares with us. I think he shares with us a mind-boggling humility. He tells us that not only right from the beginning of his life did the Lord preserve him the God of life. Did God keep him safe? No more than that. He, David, needed God's constant care and oversight so that he could honor God and enjoy the good things that only God can give. Why? Because without it, he is nothing. And friends, I think most people don't always realize this. That without God, they are nothing. Like Jesus would say 1,000 years later, according to Matthew 19:17, only God can give good things. David reveals to us that when he observed the world around him, he realizes that God and God alone is good. Apart from God, we have nothing that we can call good. Only the things that God gives us are good. So listen carefully. It doesn't mean that there are no good things. There are lots of good things on this earth. But it's the things that God is giving us. Sadly, the world that we live in denies this. So Psalm 16 proclaims that God and God alone brings hope for David, regardless of his circumstances. And those of you who know David's life circumstances well will know that there was a lot of hardship in David's life. So when we know this and accept this, how should we respond? Friends, we should declare God's greatness, I believe, by displaying His glory. How will we do that? By acknowledging the Maker of the world in what He has created, like the rest of creation does. And friends, that is David's argument in the first 4 verses of Psalm 19 that Helen read. The Maker of the world reveals Himself to mankind through what He has made. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth. their words to the end of the world. And I can share with you this morning, friends, David was not the only one testifying to this. The Apostle Paul also testified God is obvious as the Creator when you look at the natural order of things. He went so far as to say that those who do not acknowledge Him as a real and the Creator of everything that exists are without excuse. Listen to Romans chapter 1 verse 20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, has been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. I'll repeat that. So that men are without excuse. I'm saying again, sadly, the world that we live in is in denial. I'm sure that you all might have heard the following names: Carl Sagan, Bertrand Russell, and David Attenborough. All three of these men call themselves agnostic. But I think Bertrand Russell was the most honest when he said, I would say that I am an agnostic, but speaking popularly, I think all of us would say that we are atheists. Now, you all might have read something or watched something that they have written or produced. Carl Sagan, an American astronomer and astrophysicist, wrote many popular science books. But he co-wrote the award-winning 1980 television series Cosmos, A Personal Voyage. And this became the most widely watched series in the history of American public television. You know, Cosmos was watched by more than 500 million people across 60 different countries. It was also very popular in Australia. But what most people don't know is that Carl Sagan defined human beings, you and me, as an inconsequential, thin film of life on an obscure and solitary lump of rock and metal. He said, we are mere accidents of evolution. What about David Attenborough? He is famous for his Life on Earth documentary series that started in 1979 and that was completed in 2008. And his Wildlife on One, a BBC One wildlife series. Once again started in, I think, 1977 and it finished in 2005. More recently, Australians were captivated by his three series on the Barrier Reef that screened in 2015. But once again, what most people don't know is that David Attenborough says that he feels the evidence all over the planet clearly shows to him that evolution is the best way to explain the diversity of life that he displayed in his documentaries. And as far as he is concerned, if there is a supreme being, then he chooses organic evolution to be that supreme being as a way of bringing into existence the natural world. And he said that nothing that I have seen on earth have caused me to believe that there is a God. And like Bertrand Russell, he said, I believe that we are mere accidental connections of atoms. But friends, this is exactly what we as Christians dispute. Is there really nothing special about the cosmos or our place within it? This morning I say to you, contrary to Sagan and Attenborough and Russell, Christians believe, like David, like Paul, that the cosmos is telling a rather different story. A story of hope, a story of love, and a story of purpose. And here is why. I've asked William to prepare 4 slides for me for today. William, you can give us the first one, please. Starry night picture. And while you've got that one on there, let me tell you a story about a young preacher named Vincent. He was an idealistic young man with a profound faith who wanted to serve others and share the gospel with them. Now, he was an art dealer, but he became frustrated with that business. So he decided to take a position as a missionary among the miners in a small Belgian mining town. And as a student of the New Testament, this Vincent took Jesus' commands literally. So he chose a life of simplicity, a simple life, sharing the poor conditions of his small congregation. He shunned wealth and status. He gave away most of his possessions and even became homeless for a time, sometimes sleeping in a haystack behind the home of the town baker. Can you picture this in his mind's eye? Vincent would get up to preach before the congregation, sometimes with bits of hay sticking to his clothes and with the smell of bread wafting off him. However, the people loved him for his simple kindness and because of the passion with which he shared the gospel of Christ. You see, Vincent was committed to living like Jesus. But the authorities of the missionary organization decided to pull their financial support from him. They thought it was unbecoming for a preacher to live in the same kind of poverty as the people to he ministered. And his passionate faith embarrassed their dignified religiosity. And although he no longer had their support, Vincent tried to stay and serve his little flock. But his health soon began to fail. And pretty soon he felt like a failure too. In his spare time, Vincent had begun to draw and to paint, and so he decided to pursue a different dream, that of being an artist. And this alienated, this misfit, this reject of a preacher became one of the most famous artists of modern time. You all know what I'm talking about. Vincent van Gogh. And that's his painting Starry Night. At the end, William is going to put it up for us again. William, I'm just warning you, at the end you're going to show it again.
What do you want?
At the end you will show it to us again. You can take it off now.
Anything you like, yep.
Thank you. I want you now to show us the second picture. Now friends, that second picture that William is showing us is a picture from the Hubble Space Telescope. It's also a picture from the sky. Like Vincent van Gogh, which sky is a starry sky. This one was taken in 2014. Hubble floats about 500 kilometers above the Earth. Taken some of the most compellingly fantastic images of the universe. It is a breathtakingly beautiful view of far-flung planets, nebulas, and galaxies that redefines the vastness of the universe. What we see there is a tiny area of the sky within the southern constellation that's called the Furnace. And the Hubble team extracted perhaps the most breathtakingly images of the heavens ever seen by man. 10,000 galaxies radiated in the deepest images of the universe ever taken known today as the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. I think there's not a lot different between that and what Vincent van Gogh wanted to put on his canvas. Why am I showing this to you? Dr. Anton Koekeboer, who served as the primary imaging specialist for the deep field, believes that we can interpret these images as landscape portraits of the cosmos using Hubble as our camera. You see, like us, Anton Koekeboer is a Christian, and he is more qualified than Sagan, Russell, and Edinburgh to interpret the vast cosmos and what it reveals. And he describes these as revealing God's artwork on a cosmic canvas. And friends, this is see when we look at these 10,000 galaxies. God's creative art. We have seen Vincent van Gogh's, and there's God's. For myself as a Christian, looking at the Bible images, I can say that I appreciate even more profoundly how David was inspired to write. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 19, verse 1. When I consider the scale of the universe as revealed in our picture, I also ponder the ultimate significance of our own humanity by comparison to the vastness of the universe. As David so eloquently stated in Psalm 8, verses 3 and 4. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you set in place, what is man? Of course, the very next verse provides an answer to the question. There's two more pictures, William. The next one, please. The butterfly.
Spider and web, you want it?
The butterfly first, please. Friends, that butterfly is a South American butterfly, the Morpho rentor or Retentor. If you look at that little bit in the circle, that's the bit I would like you to see. This butterfly, the Morpho Retentor, has a regular grid of precisely constructed wedge-shaped ridges on its upper wings, spaced at intervals of about 0.0022 millimeters. That's what you see there in the little circle. And this pattern is repeated so accurately that the maximum deviation is only 0.00002 millimeters. In other words, we cannot measure it in an earthly workshop. No earthly workshop would be able to make one single wing on scale with precision. But it needs to be like that for that butterfly to be able to fly. And the Creator made it exactly like that. The next picture, William. That's the picture of a spider and a web. Thank you, William. Scientists have found that web strands are comparable in strength to fused quartz fibers. And zoologists discovered that spiders have 1 to 4 pairs of spinnerets located in the abdomen. The usual number is 3 pairs. And in addition, there are 7 sulcus glands, each making a strand for a unique purpose. Many dozens of tiny tubes lead to these specially designed abdominal glands. And in a process that scientists don't completely understand, a special scleroprotein-based substance is released as a liquid that then seems to harden as it is pulled from the spinneret. One cell gland produces thread for cocoons, and another for wrapping up the prey. same, but they require especially designed soap. They're different. Other brands make the walking thread so the spider doesn't get snagged itself in a home web. While still another makes the sticky material that captures the juicy tinner. Some of the finer threads are almost invisible to us, or invisible to us, unless the light is reflected just right. And yet, spider silk is strong. Typically, it has a tensile strength that's 5 times that of the highest tensile steel. Why am I showing you this? To affirm what David and Paul said. Creation attests that God exists. Thank you, William. You can close that fast now.
You don't want the picture up?
Later, I'll tell you later when.
You don't want that?
Oh, you can keep it like that, it's all right. Friends, when we consider the universe from the viewpoint of faith, by contemplating God as its creator, life on earth is deeply enriched and broadened as a result. We don't need Hubble, we don't need Sagan, we don't need Attenborough, and we don't need Russell to observe and to know the glory of God. Like King David, like Paul, and like Vincent, all we need is a clear, dark, starry night sky. The night sky calls to us. And humans over the centuries responded with their star tales, their monuments, their theories, their observatories, with gleaming, polished glass. What we see around us gives overwhelming evidence of having been designed by superintelligence. When I see the double pictures, the butterflies, the spines, and their webs, I marvel like David. And I'm filled with wonder. You have made known to me the path of life. And you will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Yes, then my prayer becomes, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Friends, when you look at Vincent's Starry Night again, when Vincent painted his great masterpiece, he envisioned a brilliant, swirling night sky full of luminous stars above the small village where he preached. A village filled with houses lit up against the darkness. I want you to look closely. You will see all the houses, if you can. If not, you can look at it afterwards. You can't see it clearly now. In all the houses, there's a light on, except in one of the buildings. Can you see which one? The church. No light is coming from the church. And to me, this is a scary, sobering picture and a scary, sobering thought. The church Vincent had served faithfully had become a closed door to him. If you, like Vincent, have felt that the church at time has failed you, remember then that you are not alone. The same thing happened to Jesus. The religious authorities of his day colluded with the Roman Empire to kill the young, idealistic Jew who was actually Emmanuel, God with us. When you feel your plans and passions have led to a dead end, like Vincent, remember then that if God is your portion and your cup, that if God is enough for you, then He will have something bigger in store for you. That young missionary who preached to a tiny congregation became a painter whose artistry gave billions a glimpse of the glory of God. The church might be dark, but the painting of Vincent is not. Even if your plans don't work out your way, don't become disheartened. Remember, you don't see the full picture. Maybe your plans are not working out because God has got better plans for you. Friends, I believe the plan for my life and your life is as perfectly designed as the morpho-retental butterfly and the spiral spider. I believe this was true for Vincent too. If you can't see your way in the dark night of life, perhaps you need to look up at the swirling, shimmering stars and embrace God's hope. David did. So did Paul. So did Vincent. So should you. Jesus Christ said that when we know God and when we know Him, then we shall know the truth. And the truth shall set us free. So I'm saying to you today, if the truth is knowable, like David and Jesus and Paul are telling us, then it should follow that there is ample evidence of that truth in and around our universe. The Hubble pixels confirm it, the butterflies confirm it, the spiders confirm it. We all can believe it. So, my conclusion is indeed, our God is indeed the giver of every good